On this episode of Untold American, I tell the story of a 23-year-old Antragan, a lady who disappeared on February 14th, 2020 in Fort Valley. At first, our family thought maybe she was busy or needed space. But as hours turned into days, fear slowly took over. A huge search began across the area, with police, students, all trying to find her. Then, 4 days later, the search ended in heartbreaking when Antra's body was discovered in the woods. What followed was an investigation that revealed the danger she had been living with and the painful truth her family would be forced to face. This is Antra's story. Valentine's Day is supposed to be about love, flowers, gift, dinner dates, and time spent with the people who matters most in our life. But for the one family in Georgia, Valentine's Day would become the start of their nightmare they will never forget. Antragan was young, talented, and full of dreams. She was in her final year of college and preparing for the future she had worked so hard for. Even after experiencing painful loss earlier in her life, she kept moving forward. Friends describe her as kind, supportive, and always smiling. But then suddenly, she vanished. Her phone stopped answering, messages went unread, and the people who loved her began to realize something was wrong. Antragan was born on November 6, 1997, in Camp Hill. She was the daughter of Christopher Gunn and Melissa, and she grew up with one brother and one sister. In 2014, a tragedy hit the family when Antra's mother died in a car accident. Antra was still a teenager at that time, and the loss deeply affected her. But despite the pain, those close to her said she stayed strong. Her father later described her as his pride and joy. Antra spent most of her childhood in Atlanta, where she attended Westlake High School. Friends remembered Antra as dependable, caring, and hardworking girl. After graduating in 2016, Antra enrolled at Fort Valley State University in Fort Valley, Georgia. She studied visual and performing arts and loved music. She sang in school concerts and gospel choirs, and classmates described her voice as beautiful, as soulful. Outside of school, she worked at local restaurant, stayed close with family, and made time for her friends. People who knew Antra often said she had a way of making others feel loved and important. But by early 2020, she was only months away from graduation. She was excited about her future and ready for the next chapter of her life. Something funny behind the scenes, there was a relationship causing stress and fear for Antra. In 2019, Antra began an off-and-off relationship with a 23-year-old Damarcus. The two met through mutual friends and quickly became close. Damarcus was a soldier in the USA Army, stationed at Fort Gordon. To many people, He seemed respectful and disciplined, but according to friends and court records, the relationship between him and Antras soon became toxic. Antra told friends she often felt manipulated and emotionally drained. In text messages, she told Damarcus that every time they spoke, she felt controlled instead of supported. Damarcus allegedly accused her of seeing other men and even threatened to hurt himself if she left him. Then on February 5th in the year 2020, police were called after Antra's tires were slashed and the windows of her apartment were smashed. Prosecutors later said Damarcus was responsible. To Antra's loved ones, the warning signs were everywhere. Still, nobody imagined things would end the way they did. One night of February 13th, 2020, Antra attended a party. Damarcus and some of his friends were there too. Although she arrived with someone else in the party, she later left with Damarcus. One of his friends reportedly drove them to their apartment. In the early hours of February 14th, they called Valentine's Day. The pair went to local Waffle House around 2 a.m. After eating, they went to Damarcus' aunt's house. That would be the last confirmed time Antras was seen alive. Later that morning, her father tried calling her, but she did not answer the call. At first, her family thought maybe she was busy, but as more time passed, concern quickly turned into panic. Friends could not reach Antra. Antra missed work. Nobody had seen Antra. A missing person was reported officially. Then, things became even more concerning when her damaged car was discovered abandoned on Bell Avenue, not far from her apartment. The vehicle had fresh dents and damage, and the bumper was missing. To her family, it felt like the danger around Antra had finally caught up with her. Police in Fort Valley immediately began searching for Antra. Friends, classmates, and community members joined the effort. Flyers and posters were posted everywhere. Search teams combined through nearby areas. Search teams combed through nearby areas. Students at Fort Valley State University organized a vigil and prayed for her safe return. As days passed, the search grew larger. A special task force was informed, involving local police, the Georgia Bureau of Investigation, University Police, and Georgia State Patrol. Helicopters searched woods and open land for the air. Antra's father begged for the information and said it was completely out of character for his daughter to disappear without speaking to the family. But by then, fear had already started replacing hope. On February 18th, 2020, the search came to a devastating end. At around 3:20 p.m., a deputy searching near the Peach, a Crawford County line, found a body hidden under sticks and brush in the woods. It was Antra Gunn body. She had been discarded and covered with debris. The news shocked the community. Students and staff at Fort Valley State University gathered together in tears. For her father, the nightmare had become real. The young woman who had been preparing for graduation was gone forever. Antra Gunn. After a few days, investigators confirmed Antra's death was homicide. The medical examiner determined she had been killed by manual strangulation. Police quickly focused on Damarcus, who was his boyfriend, who had been the last known person to see Antra alive. Investigators also looked again at the earlier vandalism involving her apartment and car. To them, it showed a pattern of escalating behavior. They recovered text messages that revealed jealousy, argument, and emotional manipulation in the relationship. Phone records also placed Antra's last known location near Damarcus' aunt's house, where they went earlier, 2 a.m. On February 18th, only hours after Antra's body was found, Damarcus was arrested. At first, he was charged in connection of February 5th, but investigators were already building a murder case against him. Soon after, prosecutors officially charged him with the murder, aggravated assault, authorities believed he strangled Antra and then tried to hide her body in the woods. More than 2 years after Antra's death, the case finally went to trial in Peach County, Georgia. The courtroom was filled with family members, students, news reporters, and community supporters. Prosecutors urged that after months of conflicts and control, Damarcus killed Antra during an argument on Valentine's Day. Juries heard about the damaged apartment, the threatening messages, and the toxic relationship between the two. They also had testimony from one of Damarcus' friends, who claimed Damarcus confessed the killing to him after it happened. Damarcus denied murdering Antra. He admitted damaging her property but claimed he loved her and he would never hurt her. But after hearing the evidence, the jury reached a verdict. Damarcus was found guilty of felony murder and sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. For Antra's family, the verdict brought accountability, but it could not bring Antra back. Antra Gunn was only 23 years old. She was talented, creative, and full of promise. She survived heartbreaks, loss, and difficult challenges, yet still continued chasing her dreams. She deserved the chance to graduate, build a career, and lived the future she had working hard for. Her story is more than a crime case. She was a daughter, a friend, a student, a young woman deeply loved by the people around her. And while the justice was served in court, the pain left behind can never truly disappear. May Antra Gunn rest in peace. Thank you for watching this episode of Untold American. Subscribe, share, comment, and like. See you until next time.